Hey everyone, welcome to another video. I am the Game Thrifter. Today I'm going to be doing underrated Xbox 360 games. Previously, or the other week, I did a video about underrated backwards compatible Xbox 360 games, and some people asked me to just do regular Xbox underrated games or Xbox 360 underrated games. So I thought it'd be a good time to kind of do that. You know, for me, the Xbox 360 is one of my all-time favorite consoles, and there's just something satisfying about playing it, a better time, and I noticed that a lot lately just in my life, where I'll go back and enjoy things that used to bring me happiness and calmness earlier in my life, and hopefully it's that way for some of you as well. And the 360 was just such a pivotal time for me, and I just remember having so much fun playing it, and it does bring me sort of a stillness when I go back and play it, and it's really enjoyable. It's probably the console that I have the most collected physical games for, and so doing these videos has been sort of cathartic for me, helping me to just relax and have a good time, and hopefully you all enjoy the videos as well. So I want to go ahead and get started. Here's some nice underrated Xbox 360 games, and this should be a fun one. And speaking of nostalgia, I think Transformers is definitely that when it comes to people like me, born in the 80s, and this has that Generation 1 look to it. Transformers Devastation, yeah, this game's on Xbox 360. Some people didn't know that. Obviously the game is on Xbox One, PS4 as well, and it's really a cool action-packed hack and slash brawler developed by Platinum Games, and it came out in 2015, so it actually came out after the Xbox One and PS4 were already out. And they did cross-gen stuff, which I think is really cool as well. This is a third-person game, as you can see, and it looks like the Generation 1 characters. So there's different characters that you can play with. For example, Optimus Prime, like what you see here. There's Grimlock, Bumblebee as well. You can transform, which I think is a key part to any Transformers game. The combat feature is really cool. It's got some responsive combat. You can use like special moves, weapons. There's all kinds of different things that you can do in this game, and it's really cool. It's rewarding. It's got a lot of customization and loot as well. Visually, like I said, the cel-shaded stuff really kicks off and looks great. Even on the Xbox 360, I think it's something that's really kind of understated and still looks and plays amazingly. So yeah, nostalgia, that's what it's all about. This game is something that I enjoy playing through. It's a bit of a hidden gem. A lot of people don't even realize it's on the 360, but it's just a lot of fun for me, and I'm sure it'll be for you too if you want to give it a try. Next up is a fun game that I don't really see many people talk about at all, which is Afro Samurai, and I hadn't played this game in a while, so forgive some of the gameplay, but this is a really stylish game, and this is something that I think a lot of people would enjoy. Clearly this is based on a manga and anime series, and I really enjoy it. It's got Samuel Jackson in it, so anything with Samuel Jackson is going to be pretty cool. And so as you can see, like, the cel shaded graphics look really cool, and it's a 3D kind of brawling game with some light platforming and exploration. There's a lot of combos that you can kind of get into and unlock, and like you use the focus ability, as you can see. The game itself isn't something that lasts a huge amount of time, so it doesn't stick around like overly long, so I think that's a really good thing. So 7-8 hours you can probably beat it. I really like the rhythmic hack and slash action of the game itself. The katana strikes are amazing. You dodge and parry, but it's not totally unforgiving either, which I think is really cool. So it also has some epic boss fights, which I think are awesome and very unique. It's something that brings a lot of fun to the game itself, where you'll have to try different things and maybe fail a couple times in the process, but this is a game that is, something that, like I said, not a lot of people talk about, and the visuals are amazing. Like I said, the cel shadedness, the audio is awesome. It's got good voice acting as well as the music. Difficulty, you can actually do whatever you want, whether you want to be more of a casual or hardcore player for this. It's awesome, and I think that's one of the things that kind of sets this game apart from some of the other games that are, gems or kind of underrated. So yeah, I always recommend this one. Give it a try. It's quite fun. Next up is a game that's one of my favorites on the 360, and I believe it's still tied to the 360 officially. Like, you can't play it on anything else as far as I can remember in terms of consoles as well. But anyway, Splinter Cell Conviction. This was a really cool game. It's different than the other Splinter Cell games, but I think that's what makes it such a great game in and of itself. Splinter Cell is known for kind of stealth action that basically kind of shifts the story around a little bit here as well. Basically, it sets you up in a way where you're now a fugitive instead of working for the good guys or whatever. But third-person stealth action game that kind of balances more of the traditional type of Splinter Cell game with a more faster and aggressive gameplay. The campaign itself is really cool because I think, like I said, in a lot of the games that I like to play, especially in this day and age, I like to play them and get done with them. 8-9 hours and you're done with it, and that's, I think, is a good amount of gameplay time. It's still a Splinter Cell game at its heart, but it's different enough to where it's gonna be something where people who maybe didn't like the original Splinter Cell series can kind of get into it. And the game looks great and it plays great. There's a lot of interrogation things to it. So if you guys ever played the Punisher game on the PlayStation 2 original Xbox, where he can interrogate people by using different objects around wherever you're at, you can do that in this game, and I think that's really cool, the way that they allow you to do that. It's definitely like an M-rated type situation. It's got great cinematic visuals and really kind of a immersive style of gameplay and a fun story. It's got a really good story as well, which I think is awesome when it comes to these single player type games. If you're enjoying the video, please take a second to maybe consider subscribing. And if you do subscribe, or even if you don't, like the video, share it out, and maybe even comment. I love doing these type of videos, and at the end of the day, if you enjoy the content, I'll keep making it. That's how this kind of works out. Please subscribe and like the video because I don't deserve shabby treatment.
Now would you unhook this already, please? I don't deserve this kind of shabby treatment.
Next up is a game that I don't think gets any love at all, but I love this game. I think it's a great game, and I think it's a good version of this game, which is Fable Anniversary. So I love the original Fable game a ton, and Fable Lost Chapters on the original Xbox. So when they completely remade the game with Fable Anniversary back in 2014, I of course picked this up. And actually this game's kind of quite hard to come by, but if you do get a chance to find it, then I definitely suggest picking it up because it contains the entire Fable and Lost Chapters expansion. So it really does a good job of celebrating the game's anniversary and looks and plays amazingly well. It's of course a third-person action RPG, a lot of world exploration here and moral decision making. So basically what you do and say matters tremendously in this game, and your character progresses along the way with the choices you make. The game can be over 20 plus hours if you want to do all the side content and things like that. There's a very nice combat system here. You can do things like spells and fireballs or slow time. You got melee weapons, crossbows, all that kind of stuff. That's really fun to kind of choice that they offer you here. The consequences and things like that affecting your appearance. Halos for good, horns for evil. Cool NPC interactions, which I think are really awesome. Of course, the chicken chaser thing, which is still here, and it's amazing to see. Like I said, the visuals are really good. They did a fantastic job with it. The voice acting's awesome. The game still holds up. So if you're looking for a good, fun RPG that's kind of also lighthearted and has a lot of kind of quirkiness to it, then I highly suggest this game. Next up on this list is one that might be just a bit controversial, but I enjoy this game quite a bit. It is Thor, God of Thunder. This is a fun game for me. I know that some of the superhero games can be hit or miss on the Xbox 360. This game isn't as good as the Captain America game, but it's still a pretty good game in my opinion. And of course, it was released by Sega. And this is, quite a fun game. It's basically a hack and slash game. They try to be a little bit reminiscent of God of War, emphasizing some of the combats and things like that. There's also the godlike powers. It's very linear, and the campaign itself isn't super long, but 7 to 9 hours is, I think, plenty enough, to be honest with you. There's a little bit of replay value though, because you can get upgrades and things like that. The combat system is actually kind of fluid, so that's good as well. You can kind of grapple onto enemies and environments, which is also very helpful throughout this game. There's boss fights, which I think is really the cool part of this game, is like, the boss fights. There's some pretty epic set pieces and battles that you can fight against other like bosses, which I think adds to the just overall immersion of the game. So again, really cool. What was also cool about this was this game actually supported 3D playback on a compatible TV, which is rare because unlike Sony, they didn't really do like the 3D thing. They didn't go all in on it. So the controls are actually pretty good and intuitive as well. I think that the visual and audio in this game are, pretty well done for a game that's kind of like at this time or whatever. I remember this game was sort of brought up at like the Game Awards or something, and I found it to be pretty fun. It might not be everybody's cup of tea, but if you're a Thor fan, I think this game is quite fun. Next up is a cool game that I think not a lot of people played, but it's worth playing. It might even be better than the newer game that came out, which is James Cameron's Avatar: The Game. This was a really fun game that came out in 2009, third-person action-adventure, which I think actually suits this game a lot better. I don't know if you guys have played the newer game that came out that's first-person. That game looks great, but it's just very hollow overall. But I find this, the third-person, with the shooting and melee and open world exploration, to be much better suited to the Avatar game itself and the movie. So it's more immersive like that. It's got like the floating mountains, glowing forests. The game itself, 12 to 14 hours to actually beat. It's got some branching paths to it. So yeah, it's like definitely worth checking out. Early on you kind of choose who you want to align with. The combat system is very fluid. I think it's really cool the way that they've kind of worked into like the third person action with some range shooting. You have some aiming down the sights and things like that. You have punches and things. So yeah, I enjoyed this game quite a bit. It's got some good customization to it. Earn experience points from the missions, and you can actually level up your character. So it's got a little elements like that are pretty fun. Overall, I think they did a really good job with this game. I think that you can see that there's like a lot of effort put into like the graphics and the day-night cycles in the game. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I know this game probably isn't looked at as like a masterpiece, but I look at it as a game that's actually pretty fun and something that's kind of underrated. And again, that's what these lists are all about. So this list in particular, I try to do games that probably most people wouldn't have thought of, but trust me, from my point of view, it's a lot of fun to kind of play this game. Next up is a severely underrated game called Wet, which is a fun game. Came out in 2009, and this was actually published by Bethesda. I wish we'd see this game re-release or get an update or a remake or remaster or something, because I really kind of enjoy it. Sort of draws shades of Quentin Tarantino's style, to be honest with you, and the main protagonist is actually voiced by Eliza Dushku, so really cool that they've kind of brought her in and it's kind of modeled after her. Different time for sure, because nowadays you would imagine if they modeled a character after her, it would be some horrendous looking character, because that's what games do nowadays. But anyway, it's an awesome acrobatic third-person shooter with a lot of platforming and meleeing elements. 8 to 10 hours to beat it. The way that they've kind of handled things in this game is pretty awesome, because it emphasizes like the style, and there's like a multiplayer system that kind of rewards you for doing various things, which I find to be really awesome as well throughout the game. Some of the platforming, the levels themselves are linear, but there are some semi-open areas that are going to allow for you to do like some acrobatics and some platforming and things, and it can take you a second to kind of figure out. So that was like the main thing that I kind of dealt with, was that when you're playing through the game, it can take a little bit to kind of figure out. So you get points to unlock skill trees for your gunplay, and like you can get more ammo, sword attacks for faster combos, acrobatics, collect things as well. There's different difficulty, so if you're a gamer that just want to do kind of a casual thing, you got it. If you want a more difficult slider, you got that as well. So very tight controls with sort of a lock-on system, very arcadey. So that's something that I like to point out about this game, is just like it's a very arcadey style game, a bit of a throwback, but well worth your time and effort. This was a little bit pricier if you can find it, but well worth the time and money. And up next is a game that is so much fun, and that is Lost Odyssey. And again, if you've never played this game, then you owe it to yourself to play it. I mean, it comes on 4 discs for the Xbox 360 version, but it's a lot of fun. It came out way back in 2008. This was at a time when Microsoft was really trying to kind of get into the Japanese market, and so they were kind of paying for some of these games from famous people who do like JRPGs, and this was one of them. It was actually kind of made by the guy who founded the Final Fantasy. So yeah, it's really cool. The gameplay is turn-based, so it's very much traditional. It has some modern twist, but this game is hugely massive. So 50, 60 hours for the main story, maybe up towards to 100 if you want to do all the side content. It's got a lot of cool combat to it, and it's a very emotional story and good story as well. Well acted, and like the voice acting and music is incredible in this game. So yeah, the turn-based battle system, there's also random encounters, and load times can be a little bit much on this game, but anyway, overall it's just got a lot of different things that kind of offer some fun and bang for your buck. Like I said, the turn-based stuff is great for fans of that style, so if you're not a fan of that style, you might not enjoy it, but overall it's just highly underrated, and this is probably a game that people ask a remake for or a remaster for quite a bit. It's well worth it. There's a lot of collectibles in the game, and it's just really kind of a fun game to kind of play through. So if you've never played it, or if you like JRPGs, this is one of the better ones on the Xbox 360, if not the best one. So absolutely 100% recommended. And so there you have it. I wanted to keep this video a little bit shorter. I think if they're a little bit shorter, I could get more content out, which is something that everybody seems to like. But the Xbox 360 just has a ton of games. I have thousands of Xbox 360 games, and there's so many underrated and hidden gems in there. It would be hard to kind of put them all in there, but this is a particular list that I have actually gone through and played more recently, so I think that's why I was able to kind of go out and put them in this video, and I'm sure you guys will have a cool list of your own. I actually love seeing the list that you guys have in the comments. If you guys really do want to support the channel, I highly recommend just leaving some comments and things like that. I actually answer all the new comments that come in. It's hard to keep up with some of the replies and things like that, but I do try to respond to everybody as often as I possibly can. So yeah, I like seeing your list, the games that you enjoy seeing. We're all gamers, we all have our own opinions. I think keep it respectful. Well, I love gaming. I think that's something that if you're going to watch the video, you probably have in common with me. So let's have a good time with it and be respectful of everybody else. Hope you guys have a great day. Game on, my friends. Game on.